Can you just start by introducing yourself, please?
I'm Imtiaz Dharker. I have worked with poetry for quite a few years. I do mainly large events with Poetry Live, and that's to lots of GCSE students around the country, and we go all over the country reading to GCSE and A-level students. And I think nowadays the whole scene for poetry, people are beginning to understand much more. I see a difference in the level of excitement and understanding about poetry.
Good. So how have you enjoyed the festival so far?
Very much, and just the fact of starting off with Brian Turner, it started off in a great way, and then the number of very good writers there are from around the world. I mean, you don't often get a chance to hear people from the Middle East and the Palestinian voices and all the other voices who are very often not represented at other festivals, and it was great to hear a lot of them and to see some familiar names as well, and some that I didn't know before.
Can you describe your work in 5 words?
No.
It's a hard one.
5 words. Concise. Full of images. Fairly rhythmic.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's 6. Forget concise.
Okay. No, that's good. Thank you. Okay, here's one that some people found a bit hard. How does the issue of home relate to the theme, the current theme of the festival, Imagining Peace?
How do my poems relate to the theme?
The issue of home, as in like the idea of home.
Yes.
How does it relate to Imagining Peace?
I think the whole business of poetry is peace. Poetry is not about war. So any poem, whatever it may be about, is about, someone trying to understand either what's going on in their own life or in someone else's. The whole way that poetry happens and is constructed, and the life of the poet is about peace, I would say. That whatever it is, it doesn't have to be about peace or war. Poems are about peace. That's the job of poetry.
Very nice. A few last questions now. How does the context of a poem, as in the physical context, where you find it, for instance?
Well, really in everyday life, I find a poem in, being at a station, hearing conversations, walking by, seeing what other people are doing, the things that make me feel very strongly or passionately about something. All of those things are things that would cause a poem. A great image, some connection in the mind between one idea and another. All of those can cause a poem to happen. Poems are really about life.
Yeah. So, like, you wouldn't say, for instance, that a poem wouldn't be a poem unless you found it in the library. It can be anywhere.
In fact, it's more a poem when it's out on the street and in places where there are people.
Do you think a poem...
You can find it in the library too.
Yeah.
There's great poems on pages, and a great way of starting to write poetry is to read other poets.
Okay, wait.
In fact, I would see all the other poets who've gone before me as my family of poets. Any other poet who's affected you, who's influenced you, becomes your family in a very real way.
Yeah.
Those are the real relationships.
So who would you say has influenced you and become part of that family?
First, Gerard Manley Hopkins, because when I read Hopkins, I first realised what you could do with words and how much fun you could have with words and how they could be made to work for you. And he did such exciting things with the language, which I'd never, seen done before. I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah.
And then all the poets who are writing now, look at Carol Ann Duffy and Gillian Clarke and John Agard, and all the people are doing exciting things with words now.
You mentioned before that you did a lot of work with GCSE students.
Yes.
What would be like your advice for young poets out there now who like trying
First, start by reading. Start by listening. Start by listening to other poets. Get used to the words, the rhythm of the language, the rhythm of the lines, how they are, the voice of the poet. Get to know that the poet's a real person like you. It's not from some other world or from some dead place. Know that it's about exciting things, and then read and get to see the connection to you before you start even thinking about putting pen to paper. Just read other people and write too, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right.